Hey guys, so we have Farhia and Mehraab joining us today. They are the founders of Chaya, a space sharing marketplace. And today we'll be learning from them how they grew their marketplace or platform, I might say, from zero to the stage they are in right now. So Farhia and Mehraab, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So first thing first, how did you guys start all these things? When did you think about this and what problems are you solving through your platform?
So Mehraab and I have known each other for a while, and we've worked together for a while, on and off. And sometimes we would help our friends who are content creators or fashion brand owners create content, and more often than not would come up with the same issue, which is where do we shoot? And in Bangladesh, there's very little ways to find or book a place for your shoots. So one day we used one of our friend's house, which was really nice to look at, to do a content shoot there. And that's when it kicked in, like, hey, you know what? Why don't we open up doors to other people's homes and give people more access to different kinds of spaces that are more safe, secure way of finding and booking places for their content creation needs.
Soon after we launched our little shooting opportunities for content creators, we quickly noticed that our spacers and our users were looking to do more than just content creation. They wanted home spaces for events, for little birthdays, for dates, and we couldn't say no. So we reached out to our spaces and our users and got them to come on board for using our spaces for all kinds of events.
Well, so next time when I'm doing my next podcast, remind me of Chaya so that I can rent your space and make a better podcast.
Oh yeah,
from
please
there.
do.
All right, so I can understand the problem. This is a very good problem to solve, and we all have this sort of problem. So when we started, whom do you started the targeting with? Do you target everyone? Do you target the, let's say, varsity students or the office goers or whatnot? And who was your first ideal customer?
I would say our first ideal customers were university goers, people who would like elevated experiences, something more than just the regular events. Because we knew, number one, we weren't going for commercial spaces that were big, because right back then we were nothing, right? So we couldn't convince, let's say, massive hotels or halls to join us. So we basically started off with smaller spaces. That means we could accommodate smaller events, which would mean we could only have people who were concerned with budgets or wanted smaller spaces. So we went for like age group 18 to 25 initially, people who wanted to do, let's say, birthdays, small birthdays, date nights, small photo shoots for their fashion brand, or influencers as well. That's how we initially started, and we started off with an Instagram page, and we also understood that on Instagram it's usually the younger generation, people who are university goers or young professionals who would be there.
So how did you make sure that your target customer comes into your Instagram page? What are the branding or marketing tactics you took in the very first stages?
We leveraged influencers at an early stage. Since this was a fairly new concept, a lot of people were interested in this new idea that was making spaces accessible to everyone. And this novelty carried us for a while. Ever since then, we've been making targeted ads, we've been doing giveaways for our customers, just bringing them onto our platform, getting them introduced to Chaya, and seeing what benefits they can get from us.
Okay, so it's mostly the influencers campaign that worked for you guys.
Initially. Yeah. Because one, it's very difficult to describe or have people understand, like, what, all of a sudden, what are these spaces? Do you own them, or what can it be used for? Like, the number of times people would ask us for menus, or yeah, apna jagah ta kota. Yeah, so with influencers, one, they got that benefit that they could either use a space for free or like at a heavily discounted rate, because they're always creating content all the time, and users could see all these influencers using this thing called Chaya to book space for their photo shoots. So I think it was easier to feed them the concept of booking a place for more than like weddings or like for little things. So yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I can understand that your primary target group was the university students or the university goers, and you targeted them through influencers. So uh, in that part, like in that experience, what worked for you guys mostly and what did not work?
Right. So the influencers carried us only so far. We'd get a lot of followers, so that would basically bring more visibility and like get the word out of our existence. But what worked best was when the users took content of their experience with us. So whenever somebody booked our a space, because we were so new, the concept was so new. The users would love taking photos or stories of like, hey, this is a date night for us, or like, hey, this is a really cool photo shoot space. We'd actually get a lot of queries from that and a lot of interest from that because people were like, I've never seen this. Since most of our spaces were not accessible to begin with, they were privately owned, they would ask questions like, where is this? How did you do this? How did you get this together, right? So that worked really well for us, user-based content.
So yeah, the age-old marketing tactics, word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah. And to be honest, I think the initial 6 or 7 months, we got bookings through word of mouth.
We didn't spend a single dime on advertising.
On advertising.
Alright.
We were strapped for fun, so that was what literally got us through.
And what about now? What are the marketing channels that you are currently using and what is working?
Right now, things like giveaways work a lot. Competitions, what else?
We have a lot of paid campaigns running as well
Yeah.
through Google. A lot of our traffic comes in from Google because people are looking for places where they can do stuff, and our keywords hit the right places.
Mhm.
And PR has helped as well. Like whenever an article gets released about Chaya, let's say, it brings more credibility because our users are paying for a space before they even see it. So trust is like a major factor. So whenever they see a publication, it basically gives them more courage to like venture out and like reach out to us and book a place.
Yeah.
So that works great for us.
Yeah,
as well.
I was thinking about that. When you are into this business, trust is a huge issue. And how do you guys come about that? How did you actually implement the trust in your first early customers? What did you do?
Initially,
We held their hands.
yeah,
throughout the
basically,
entire way.
we would go to each
We would
booking. Physically go there, make sure everything's set up, make sure their checkout time, like they're like we say bye to them. Even there were times when so we now have experiences, but before we would make sure, like let's say a date night, we would go to the decorators, get tables, candles, go to a restaurant, get food, and then put everything together at the space itself. So like we made sure the users were really happy, like they had no complaint. So we basically held our hand throughout the entire booking process.
And in terms of spacers, we would also physically go and take the pictures.
Yeah, so we made sure like all of our photos were accurate, so that when the users went to the spaces, it looked like the space photos, right? And the pictures were clear and nice to look at. We would talk with our users a lot. We'd talk with our spacers a lot. Like I think communication and constant communication is very reassuring. So that helped as well.
So we know about how you grew. So what's the current stage you guys are in? Because I think this is a business that is a little hard to scale initially. So what are the things you have in mind to take it to the next level? So I think about any growth tactics, any growth hacking. So for example, I myself know about how Airbnb do that in the very early stages. They had a lot of struggles as well, but they cracked a few things. For example, they listed all of their spaces in another space booking area and from Craigslist, and from there they were getting a lot of people coming in. So anything similar you guys are thinking about, or any other growth tactics that you want to implement in near future?
Quite similar actually. Facebook groups is extremely active. So there are people always posting like, "By our birthday, and all of us, like our entire team, just goes into the post and writes a comment. Hey, you can find a space on Chaya, and our bookings increase whenever stuff like this happens. So.
Okay. So you guys are being active in different Facebook groups.
Yeah, and we actually also plan on perhaps creating a community on Facebook as well, because groups, as Mehraab said, they work really well. People are more
Active and engaged.
active. So we were also another thing, like that's Facebook, and then we were also thinking of maybe throwing events in partnership with a lot of our spacers, targeted at different customer segments. So since our market is very fragmented, we were thinking that would be another way to engage them and make them feel, one, raise awareness of what Chaya is, and if they see the space themselves in action, that would also generate more trust. And two, basically build a more community for Chaya physically as well.
Yeah, and I think the physical aspect and physical visibility is really important for companies like us as well, because it reinforces that initial trust factor that you mentioned.
Yeah, this makes sense. I mean, for the timing, this makes sense. But hopefully, you guys will grow a lot. You guys will get a lot of revenue and funding as well. So, what are the next things waiting for you guys? How do you want to, I mean, maybe win the world?
I guess next stage would be working on a product really. After securing like the customer side or understanding better of the pain points, we want to work on our product and make it more scalable, find a solution,
Solve problems for both, not just our users, but for our spacers as well. Spacers have a hard time, managing their space. There's a lot of problems that they need to deal with, and I think we have something up our sleeves that can really lose that going forward.
We just have to figure out exactly how to execute it now.
Yep. So yeah, final questions. I mean, that's for my audience. So you guys have done your graduation and you started doing this. I mean, you jumped into this entrepreneurship life. So why did you choose this life? First of all, because we know that there are lots of job opportunities otherwise as well. So why did you choose this sort of life, which is risky, sometimes unfulfilling, and sometimes there are lots of other issues as well? And for other entrepreneurs like you, or maybe young entrepreneurs who want to run a sidekick as well with any other business, what will be your suggestions for them?
Honestly, I think that we say this is dudin dunya. I don't want to spend my life on a desk.
Yeah, toiling
for
away
working for
like with
someone else.
monotonous task. There's just so much excitement and learning. Like every single day, I feel like I've learned something new, and I think it's very rewarding. For me, it's fulfilling actually to be working on my own business and growing it, trying to think big, trying to see how better I can serve people and solve an actual problem. It's very exciting.
And I think we're growing as individuals as our company grows as well. We're learning new skills. We're learning how to conduct ourselves as humans more effectively.
Yeah, and I just don't think I'm cut out for like a normal job either.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, thank you Farhia, thank you Mehraab, thanks for joining today's podcast. Hope to see you guys grow.